how President Obama has announced that 33,000 U.S. troops will be withdrawn from Afghanistan by the end of the summer of next year. Listening to President Obama's speech was Richard Weitz. He's the director of the Center for Political and Military Analysis at the Hudson Institute in Washington. Thanks very much for speaking to BBC Newsday. Now, what did you make of this announcement, in the sense that President Obama has been criticised for withdrawing too quickly, but also he's been criticised for using this for political gains? He can't win, can he?
Well, in a way, there were a range of options that are being proposed, and my impression was the administration was evaluating them seriously, from making only a small token reduction of a few thousand to making a much larger reduction. In a way, he chose a middle course. They're going to take out 10,000 soon, 30,000 later. But again, there are actually two surges under the Obama administration. So when he came into office, there were maybe 40,000 U.S. troops there. He decided pretty early on to put in 30,000 and then another 30,000, and they're only withdrawing the remaining 30,000. More generally, there is no right answer. You can't really be sure what would be most effective. There are some people who think that we should try and keep as many troops there as long as possible in the hope that will stabilize the military situation, and that ensures then that you can transition a more benign environment to the Afghan government. There are others who argue that the foreign troops are the source of the problem, that they antagonize the Afghan population, they make it hard to settle some disputes, and that by withdrawing them more rapidly, you would force the Afghan government to step up to the plate. And right now, they can hang back a bit and rely on the U.S. and the other foreign troops. But if they were to leave, then they would have to actually get much more serious about the counterinsurgency. And unfortunately, we don't know the correct answer, what strategy is best. So the president has chosen an option, and we will just have to see how it goes. And I think that's why he said it would be conditional. They're going to continually monitor how the situation looks.
And he was very much keen to stress that there needs to be a political settlement in this. He's saying that the U.S. will join initiatives to strengthen the Afghanistani people, and that these initiatives will include the Taliban. That might jar with some people.
Well, negotiating with al-Qaeda would have caused a lot of problems. But negotiating with the Taliban, I mean, with these kind of wars we've seen in Latin America and many other places, unless you plan to kill all the Taliban or put them all in prison and so on, which is not going to be very difficult to do, you basically have to talk and negotiate with them. And it's understood that most, if not probably maybe a small proportion of the Taliban will actually want to engage in negotiations. But as part of a comprehensive strategy, relying on a continued use of allied military force, building up the Afghan government so it has strong security forces, developing the economy, and in part of that comprehensive strategy, part of the effort will be in trying to get some of the Taliban leadership to come back into the political fold. More broadly, reintegrating some of the fighters who have perhaps joined the Taliban, not out of ideological reasons, but for local reasons, perhaps to earn a living. As part of a comprehensive package, you hope that that combination will work. So it's just not a single negotiating with the Taliban some kind of compromise peace. It's part of a larger package.
And as part of this larger package, just looking outside of Afghanistan, the president mentioned that terrorist safe havens in Pakistan will be targeted. So very much looking at the broader picture as well.
Yes, it's become apparent that even though the president and the administration is correct that they're not terrorists currently they're not transnational terrorists active in Afghanistan, what's unfortunately happened is part of al-Qaeda or groups that affiliate themselves with al-Qaeda have now spread to parts of Yemen, Pakistan, elsewhere, and so even if the administration succeeds in stabilizing the situation in Afghanistan, putting in a government that's able to maintain order, all of us, people in Europe, people in the United States, people in Asia, not going to have to deal with the terrorist problem, because just solving the Afghanistan alone will not solve it. So again, kind of comprehensive effort dealing with Afghanistan, dealing with Pakistan, other countries where there's a problem that could lead to these kinds of transnational terrorist strikes.
Okay, Richard Weitz, director of the Center for Political and Military Analysis at the Hudson Institute in Washington. Thank you for your expertise.